Heard's team is claiming that Juror 15 is not the juror who was summoned to serve on the jury. Although Depp's team doesn't actually deny it, they do argue that this was an established fact before the trial started and that Heard's team had no issue with it until now. In fact, Juror 15 was actually the son of the man who was summoned to serve on the case with the same name as his father. He showed up in his place. Now, the court found him eligible to serve on the jury through the same questioning process that all the other jurors underwent. Now, back in June, you might recall that Depp won $10.35 million in his defamation case against Heard, and Heard walked away with $2 million. Dr. Pearson, I know you have very strong feelings about this. Walk me through the Juror 15 issue. I mean, it seems significant, but yet what you're hearing from Depp's team saying is if you had a problem with it, you should have brought it up during the course of the trial.
Absolutely. Look, when you try a case, you get, information about the veneer. So the group of people that you're going to be choosing from. And then you get to question these jurors through a process called voir dire. And so she had ample opportunity to suss out whether these jurors were appropriate or not. She sat through an entire trial. We sat there with her through this entire trial. And it's only now, after she lost, that she's taken issue with it. Give me a break.
So, Michael, I mean, Depp's team had a very, very strong response to Ms. Heard. I mean, they basically said Ms. Heard had made a very calculated effort in crafting the language of the op-ed to avoid an explicit defamatory reference to Mr. Depp. She should not be able to skirt liability stemming from the devastating impact of her op-ed simply by carefully choosing her words. They basically said that she was desperate in this filing, and they said even assuming that Ms. Heard's latest thesis, that a son served instead of his father, there would be no prejudice as Juror 15 was qualified. And by the way, Ben Shue actually wrote, disgraceful that Ms. Heard made such scandalous allegations and disappointing that no apology and recantation followed, obviously in reference to Ms. Heard saying that these jurors were biased and looked on social media and were tainted. So what do you make of their response?
At the end of the day, even in criminal cases, and I'm aware of one from having been tangentially involved, where the defense decided not to advise the court of the fact that they knew a juror was lying about some qualifications, thinking this juror was going to be a wonderful juror. It ended up being a horrible juror for the defense, and the defendant got convicted. The Court of Appeal said you waive that. In a criminal case, it was waived. Now, one of the bigger issues, frankly, is whether or not these lawyers had an ethical obligation to advise the court. I'm not sure about if they did at the time that the juror was in fact not the juror they thought it was. Whether the court felt deceived by the lawyers not bringing it to his attention, I'm not sure if they did or not. But it doesn't sound like they did. But there is a clear waiver here. I agree with Depp's filing. There's no evidence that this would have made any difference, or that the juror was otherwise unqualified. And keeping quiet, that was a decision they made. And you snooze, you lose.
I wonder, Dr. Pearson, if Johnny Depp is just putting the legal aspects to the side now. You know, he won his defamation case. He cleared his name in a lot of ways. But, Michael, I am curious, at the end of the day, whether or not it is this post-trial motion that Amber Heard filed or an appeal, which we believe she will ultimately file. Is there a chance that this verdict or even the damages award could be overturned and we would get a new trial in Amber Heard, Johnny Depp?
Well, is there a chance? I know you mean more than that. There's always a chance. Do I think it's a likelihood? I don't think it's a likelihood. This was a hotly litigated case with great lawyers on both sides. I don't think the court, from my review of the trial, and I certainly wasn't watching it every day, but I watched it a lot, I didn't see any rulings there that I thought were the kinds that deprived Ms. Heard of a fair trial, or that would have impacted on the jury verdict. And I think it's likely that the court is going to let this thing go to the bottom of the sea. And I don't see a reversal coming.
And have the Pirates of the Caribbean Kraken ultimately destroy it and eat it.